Tom Brady is widely regarded as one of the greatest football players of all time, but how does his new partner company NoBull fare when it comes to making running shoes? This is the NoBull Runner Plus, or the Runner Journey? What's up everybody, welcome to Rad Dad Bod TV. I'm Eric McIntyre, aka Rad Dad Bod. Today we're going to be talking about the NoBull Runner Plus, which has since been rebranded as the NoBull Journey. This is the first time in my mind, or that I know of, that the company has completely rebranded the name of an older shoe without any type of update or re-release, but that's exactly what NoBull did following the partnership that they made with Tom Brady in 2024, I believe. Now, before we get into the details and disclosures, everything like that, do me a favor, go ahead and hit that like button and that subscribe button if you haven't already. We've got a lot of really cool reviews coming out here soon, especially super shoe reviews. I've been testing a number of super shoes across the market, and we'll be giving kind of an update on my rankings here soon. From a disclosure standpoint, I did get these shoes for free from NoBull, not even for the purpose of review, technically just as kind of a gift. I met them in person in Austin, Texas, just by chance at the local track, and they decided that they wanted to send me some gear just to try out and see if I would like it. So that being said, I have not been paid, nor will anyone from NoBull see this review before, nor are they even aware that I'm making this review, so these thoughts are entirely my own. So with that out of the way, let's dive into the specs. Now, the NoBull Journey, I believe at this point, is marketed kind of as a lightweight daily trainer or a daily trainer option. Really based off of the total specs of this shoe though, it's actually more of a super trainer. In fact, the setup of this shoe is very, very similar in terms of kind of not necessarily just materials, but midsole and kind of plate options here. Very similar to the Saucony Endorphin Speed, and we'll break that down. So first of all, this shoe has a 31 millimeter heel and a 22.5 millimeter forefoot for an 8.5 millimeter drop. The midsole itself is made of Pebax foam, which is the primary brand that has created that Peba foam that, again, is in so many super shoes nowadays and racing shoes nowadays. And there is a nylon plate that runs throughout the entirety of the shoe. On the outsole itself, you can see that there's just kind of this rubber. You have the gum outsole here on this pair. I actually have another pair that has a white outsole, but it all is that same kind of durable rubber material. And then the upper is just a very, very simple kind of mesh upper. It's got kind of that dual layer. So it comes in, it's very, very breathable. And I would say that for the most part, this shoe might fit true to size. Having been given two of these pairs of shoes, one when I initially just randomly ran into NoBull at the local track in Austin, and then a second time when they sent me this shoe as well as some of their apparel. Both of the shoes are size 10, but the initial 10 that I received from them actually fits me better, almost like my normal 10.5, while this one fits a little bit small. And so all in all, I would assume that the shoes fit true to size, and I would go with your normal size because half sizing down caused this one to fit a little bit undersized as I would normally have expected. From a price point, this one comes in at $160, which from a daily trainer as well as a super trainer, actually with the setup of the plate and the foam, that's actually pretty affordable, and that comes in a little bit under some of the other shoes that are going to be of similar overall function. All right. Now, let's get into the good and the bad of the shoe. So first of all, as far as the good goes, when NoBull gave me this shoe and what they told me about it was this was their first attempt at like a real running shoe. They have a couple of other running options, I think like the Knit Runner and then one more, I can't remember the name, that they put out before, but those were really kind of just random foams paired with kind of a lightweight upper. Those were more shoes that you could run in, almost more lifestyle shoes, cross-training shoes, not a shoe specifically dedicated towards running. And that's where they kind of put their mind with this one. This one was supposed to be made for runners, the shoe that you might change into for the running portion of your CrossFit workout or just go on a run as a whole. So from a good standpoint, I mean, it's a pretty solid shoe. It really gets the job done. You have some really, really good pace versatility with this shoe, right? The Pebax foam paired with that nylon plate gives it some really, really good pop. So you can take this up to, you know, threshold paces, tempo paces. You could do long runs in this, but it is stable enough and soft enough without being too squishy to where you could probably take this on kind of long runs, easy runs, even race day if you wanted to. So really, really versatile overall of a shoe. And because they used a nylon plate instead of a carbon plate, I find that you could probably get away with this more as a daily trainer as well if you really chose to. The other things that are pretty good about this shoe, again, I had some sizing inconsistencies, so I don't want to talk too much about the fit because unless I'm in my true size, it's just hard to tell how it's really going to fit. But from an overall width, even with the smaller size, they fit really, really nice. There, it gives you ample room for your toes to splay. They're very, very breathable. That upper is really, really lightweight. That's a really nice mesh, so your feet don't overheat. I ran in some humidity in these even. My feet did totally, totally fine. And if you look again at that base, it's decently wide, very, very stable. So the shoe itself is really, really accommodating, and I think it's gonna work for a lot of people, potentially even those who have some stability needs, as the foam, though it is PIBA, is not like overly squishy by any means. As far as the bad or where the shoe could use some room for improvement, well, there's a couple of areas to really consider. One being that the upper, while breathable, kind of lacks a lot of the additional elements that you know, some of the more premium running shoes have nowadays. So the lockdown is just okay. With the shoe fitting somewhat wide, there's not really additional lockdown elements in the midfoot that you're going to find in a lot of other shoes. You know, the eyelets are just really, really standard. And so I think if they really put some time and focus into the upper of their next model to make it more of a traditional running upper, then this could have been a really, really good overall option. Again, for that lightweight daily trainer or kind of almost super trainer option with somewhat of a budget price in compared to some of those. The other thing, again, maybe with more production of the shoe, the sizing inconsistencies have been fixed. But, you know, overall, it's just, there's not a lot of like really, really exciting things to say about the shoe, but there's not really a lot of really bad things to say about the shoe. For the first attempt at a real running shoe, I think that this is a really, really solid shoe. As far as comparisons, I want to talk about a couple of potential comparisons. So if you look at these two shoes, for example, so this is the Saucony Endorphin Speed 4. Full disclosure, I have not run in this shoe just yet, but I want to talk about a couple of the elements in the shoe compared to the NoBull Runner or the NoBull Journey. Both of these shoes have the PIBA foam or Pebax foam. Both of these shoes have a nylon plate, but having run in past iterations of the Endorphin Speed is a lot more bouncy or has a lot more pop. So although the general setup of these two shoes, and this even has an 8mm heel to toe drop, so similar overall, but the general feel of these two shoes would be, this for me would be more of kind of a cruiser. This one I could take up to actual fast 5K, 10K, even like interval paces if I wanted to. I think part of that happens because of the midsole geometries as well as potential like dual density foam. So while they're using PIBA, the density might be slightly different between the two. And when you kind of do a little bit of a squish test on the two of them, for sure, the PIBA foam in the Sauconys are a little bit squishier overall. The other thing to look at here is, again, the meshes of the two uppers. You've kind of got those holes you can kind of see through the shoe on the Endorphin Speeds. Same thing is true for the Runners or the Journeys. I don't even know what to call this shoe at this point. But the upper of the Saucony Endorphin Speed has a couple of different elements, like the different eyelets kind of in the midfoot that are going to assist some of that lockdown. The tongues are actually very, very similar overall. But you have more of a full gusset in the Endorphin Speed. Just like little elements where some of the reinforcements are, where some of the cushion is with the Endorphin Speed is really kind of what I'm talking about when, you know, you look at the NoBull Journey. Where they could have done a little bit better is just kind of with some of, not necessarily the design, but the functional design elements of the upper. I really do believe if you put a slightly better upper on this shoe, that it would really shock a lot of people at how versatile the shoe could be. And then the other thing again is either the rocker shape or the geometry of the midsole. While you don't necessarily always need some of these fancy cutouts, different things, there is oftentimes a reason, something that makes the shoe a little bit more bouncy, more responsive, sometimes more stable where they're going a little bit more narrow, but they have the cutouts, right? Well, this is kind of a very just like generic, which matches the NoBull branding. They're very sleek. They're very, plain is not the right word, but like more solid just overall. This is what a lot of their lifting shoes look like too. But my point is, this feels like a running shoe, a good running shoe, but a running shoe designed by a CrossFit company, as opposed to a running shoe that non-CrossFitters are all going to gravitate towards, if that makes sense. Now, one other shoe that I would consider comparing the NoBull Runner Plus to, or the NoBull Journey to, would probably be the On Cloud Monster 2. The reason why I say that is because the Cloud Monster 2 also has a nylon speed board, which is essentially just a nylon plate that runs through the shoe. It doesn't have Pebax foam, but it does have a kind of nice, softer EVA, and I forget the other compound blend that compresses well, but because of the plate and the width of the shoe, it gives it more of a stiff, almost rigid kind of feel, and that reminds me a lot of the NoBull Runner Plus. So very, very similar in underfoot feel. However, the Runner Plus is going to come in at about $20 cheaper, and so that could be a lot better of an option if you like kind of a more firm underfoot ride but aren't looking to drop On prices. Now, as far as who this shoe is for, well, again, it's made for runners who want something that has a little bit more pace versatility, runners who want a shoe that has some pop but that can still go down to daily training miles. Coming from the CrossFit side of things though, one of the things about the shoe is that it is very, very stable and it doesn't have a super aggressive rocker. So I actually think this could be a really good cross-training shoe option as well. I get asked a lot of the time, what kind of shoes should someone wear if they just want one pair of shoes that they can take it to the gym and kind of do HIIT workouts with, maybe even some barbell work. While this is not going to be the same as a CrossFit shoe, that stable base, that wide base, as well as some of kind of the structure of the shoe or stability of the shoe, I do think will lend itself well to allowing you to be able to do some Metcon style work, even some light barbell work, while still being able to go for a run. So overall, this is going to be a really versatile shoe. So there you go. That's the NoBull Runner Plus, or the NoBull Journey. I'd be curious to know from those who have tried it, what your overall opinions have been. Let me know in the comments below. If you haven't already, hit a like and subscribe, and we'll see you guys on the next review. Thank you.